Terraria gives you a create a character feature and a create a world feature. You can have up to 6 characters and 16 worlds. These worlds can be shared by all the characters. When you start the game, you get 3 basic tools: the sword, the pickaxe, and the axe. The sword can be used for killing enemies and monsters. The pickaxe can be used for mining blocks and going through tunnels. The axe can be used for cutting down trees, getting wood, and other things like that. The core of this game is to manipulate the environment around you to get around. You can do this by building bridges, stairs, or ropes so you don't fall down to your death. It's super important because the physics in this game are actually excellent. They portray different things, how to use different, supernatural things in a more realistic physics way. You can use the grappling hook, the jetpack, or hoverboard later on. But before we get into all that future things, we need to talk about how to actually start the game. When you start out, you need to build a house. That is the most critical thing of this game. You can do this by just building a simple room and a backdrop, which is basically because the game is portrayed in a 2D manner. So basically you also need to build something behind you because the monsters can actually jump through if you don't. I think this is actually a pretty interesting way of portraying 2D games to make them feel 3D but still be in a 2D shown way. Also, another reason for building houses is that later on, these vendors/shoppers that you will definitely need will move into your house the larger it gets. So if you build a super large house, all these vendors which will offer you different things like potions, tools, blocks, and other things like that, they will come and move into your house. So the game in a nutshell is that you go out and explore, get materials, kill monsters or get killed, then come back to base, store them away, and go out and do it all again. Normally you think this is pretty boring, but the game offers you almost 4,000 different items that you will probably not find in one run. Later on, you will also get to meet these different enemies that will then challenge you even further and give you even further materials. And some materials are even unavailable to people until they get to the very end, quote unquote, of the game. Another really cool thing about the game is its cave systems. The caves are generated randomly and will spawn different enemies, maybe chests, and other things like that. Some really important things is to gather these ores. These ores are used to craft most of the things that you will need in the future. This could either be armor, weapons, or other things like that. It could also be new blocks. You can craft new blocks with materials. Terraria has this very RPG system of summoning a boss, or really getting prepared for a boss. The boss battles aren't just any fight you go into, you get prepared for that days before, in-game days of course. You use this by either gathering potions, reading about the boss, his attack patterns, or just gathering stronger weapons and armor. Sometimes you even have to go out of your way to build an entire platform just for fighting that specific boss. One of these bosses is called the Wall of Flesh. It is found if you dig deep enough to what looks like hell and defeat it. When you defeat this boss, it will basically unlock your world and make it into a hard mode world. Everything on the world will now become much harder, there will spawn much more enemies, and they will be much stronger than before. With these new monsters, new minerals also come too. With these new minerals you can make stronger and better armor or weapons or other things like that. New monsters are also, for example, the bosses. New bosses get spawned and you will have to fight them and it will become even harder.
Battles player types. In Terraria there are 2 player types that fit into the game. The first is Explorer. They do not see the prize or points as important. They like to explore the world and their Easter eggs and tricks. The second one is Achievers, where like challenges, trophies and in-game goals. For Achievers, playing a game is not enough. They want to complete it. They want others to witness their success or their interest of the game drops quickly. Terraria is a game developed by WeLogic. It was first released for Windows on May 16, 2011. It has since expanded to other platforms. The game supports 8 other languages besides English. WeLogic announced that they will make a Terraria 2 called Terraria Otherworld, where the game have been in development since 2012, but in 2018 they announced that they will cancel the game.